Good evening, everyone. Let us now dive into Mendelian laws, because these laws are the ones which govern the understanding of hereditary science. And without wasting no time, let us start with the first law, the principle of dominance. The principle of dominance is simple. What it says is one allele masks another, and the dominant allele is the one which is going to mask the recessive allele. So one allele is dominant over the other in the F1 generation. So just as you can talk about a gene for height, for example, height will have two alleles, for tallness and for shortness. Tallness will go with the capital letter. Shortness will go with a small letter t. Tallness will mask shortness, such that when the phenotype is observed, the one which represents the dominant one is the one which will be seen in those generations. So it states that in a cross of parents that are pure for contrasting traits, pure, the pure, homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, only one form of the trait will appear in the next generation. Only one trait will appear. Only one trait will appear in the next generation. Because if you use the Punnett square and you have all the pure cross of the parents, they are pure for those traits. Capital T, small t, small t. The F1s will appear all heterozygous, all alike. It means the trait will appear, one form of those traits will only appear. They will all appear at all in the next generation. All the offsprings will be heterozygous, and the dominant allele is the one which will be able to be expressed. So the dominant one will outride the recessive one and is the one which will show. So it just gives us an example of capital R, small r, small r. You have round and wrinkled. You were able to see in the previous slide of the monohybrid cross, it will have all heterozygous, meaning phenotypically they'll appear all round. So just as the Punnett square tried to tell us or to show us, whatever shows on the slide, is that the heterozygous, capital Y, small y, capital Y, small y. Capital Y stands for the yellow color, which is dominant over the green color. So in this case, the homozygous recessive will only be expressed when all the alleles for the recessive are present there. It will show green color. But in the case where we have the dominant allele for the yellow, because the yellow color was dominant over green, the phenotype which will show there is yellow. They are talking about one trait which will show. It will show yellow. Despite the fact that they are heterozygotes, they will show the yellow color because the capital Y will outride the small y, or will suppress the small y. So the phenotype which will be expressed is for the allele of the dominant allele. That is the law of dominance. So the dominant allele will suppress the recessive allele, or will mask the recessive allele, such that the phenotype which is expressed is the one which holds for the dominant allele. So that's how simple it is. That is law of dominance. So in the case of cystic fibrosis, you talk about that disease is an autosomal recessive. It relates to the autosomal recessive disorder. So in that case, if you have the capital C, it will represent healthy or normal. The small c will represent cystic fibrosis or the disease itself. So it means based on how the parents are, you can talk about both parents being heterozygotes or one of the parents being healthy, the other one being cystic fibrosis. Using the Punnett square, we'll be able to tell. But then, in the case where they are heterozygotes, the capital C, which stands for normal or for healthiness, the small c, which stands for the disease, those individuals who are heterozygous will not show the symptoms of the disease because the capital C for healthiness is dominant or suppresses or masks the recessive allele for the disease. So such individuals will show that they are normal. So you can look at the carrier, no symptoms, because the capital C for healthiness or for normal has suppressed the allele for the disease. Only the ones which are homozygous recessive will show the disease because both alleles, recessive alleles, are represented. They are homozygous recessive, so the phenotype can be expressed. So that is how it shows, and you'll be able to explain much on that. So the probability, 1 out of 4 probability of getting the disease, it is just by expectation. And in reality, any 2 carriers may have normal children. So however, the greatest probability is 1 out of 4 children will be affected. So 1 out of 4 is the homozygous recessive. It is 1 out of 4. The other 3 are normal. The phenotype shows normal. So it's by chance that the 25% of the offsprings will be affected. So that is the law of dominance. Same with Gaucher's disease. It is also an autosomal recessive disorder. So at that point, you'll be able to look at the capital G for healthiness, the small g for the Gaucher's disease. So individuals who have capital G are healthy. No traces of allele for Gaucher's disease. But the ones who are heterozygous will be capital G, small g. It means however much they have the allele for the disease, but it is recessive. The capital G for healthiness or for normalcy is going to suppress or mask the allele for the Gaucher's disease. So the heterozygous are not going to show the disease because the capital G for normal or for healthiness will suppress the allele for the disease, so they will show that they are healthy. Only the ones which will have the homozygous recessive allele, small g, will show the disease. So still we are talking about probability 1 out of 4 will be affected.